So the official inflation numbers have been revealed and it's not looking good. Inflation surged to 9.1% in June, the most since November of 1981. This is the highest in over 40 years. And in response, the stock market is red, the crypto market is red because of what is to come. Because inflation is out of control, we have seen the Federal Reserve raise interest rates. And last month in June, they raised interest rates by 75 basis points. This is the biggest increase since 1994, and it's likely only going to continue. The Federal Reserve is likely to increase interest rates again, possibly by another 75 basis points because inflation is out of control. But what does this really mean? You've probably heard about raising interest rates and what it means for the future of stocks and crypto and your investments, and you don't completely understand it. Let me break it down for you. So because inflation is so high, the Federal Reserve increases interest rates. Why do they do this? When they increase interest rates, it makes it more expensive to borrow money. And if less people are borrowing money, they are spending less on the economy. Think about it. Our economy runs on credit and interest. When we buy cars, maybe for $30,000 or $40,000, we don't buy it all at once. We buy it with a loan. Or when we take out a mortgage for a house, for example, we're not buying everything at once. We are buying it with a loan. But when interest rates are increased, it makes it more expensive for us to borrow money. So if less people are borrowing money, this means less people are spending on the economy. So if less people are spending money on products, it lowers demand. So companies and businesses are forced to lower the prices of their products. But it doesn't always work. It's not that simple. Also, when raising interest rates, the Federal Reserve has to be very careful how aggressive they are. If they raise it too high, too fast, this could lead to higher unemployment if businesses have to lay off workers. Or maybe they raise it too fast, too high, and it just totally halts and kills the economy. So it's not a simple thing to do. And you're probably feeling inflation yourself. Groceries up 12% in the past year, the biggest annual increase since 1979. Chicken up 19% in the past year, the biggest increase ever. Gas up 60%, biggest since 1981. Electricity up 14%, biggest since 2006. And rent up 5.8%, biggest since 1986. Things are expensive, right? It's very hard for us right now to afford things, but that's the whole point. The whole point is to make things unaffordable so that we don't actually go out and buy it. And if we're not going out and buying it and demand lowers, then the goal is for companies and businesses to lower the prices for their products and inflation comes back down. This is a macro event. It's not just affecting stocks or crypto. It is affecting the entire world. And at the moment, unfortunately, it looks like there's no slowing down. Month after month, inflation continues to increase. And as long as that continues to happen, the Federal Reserve is likely going to increase interest rates with aggressive interest hikes. And during this time, you would think, okay, I get it, inflation is high. So why aren't people investing in Bitcoin? Isn't it supposed to be an inflation hedge? Well, unfortunately, we are finding out that in the short term, Bitcoin is not an inflation hedge. One could make the case that Bitcoin is an inflation hedge if they bought it many years ago, or even if they bought it at the start of the pandemic, right before the money printing. But in the short term, it's not been the best inflation hedge. Bitcoin is a risky asset. And during these times, people stay away from risk on assets. During these times where interest rates are increased and people are spending less money in the economy, people tend to stay away from risky assets. But when it comes to Bitcoin specifically, there is an upcoming event that Bitcoin and actually the entire crypto industry is facing. And that is the potential Mt. Gox Black Swan event. Back in 2014, Mt. Gox, a crypto exchange, became insolvent and they shut down their exchange. Users lost all of their money. And I never thought we would see that money again. But there has been a rehabilitation plan put in place, and it looks like users of Mt. Gox are finally going to see that money many years later. And we soon may see $3 billion worth of Bitcoin released to the market. And everyone is trying to figure out what happens when this crypto reaches the market. Will everyone sell? Will people hold on to their crypto, or maybe half and half? Because we all know what happens when a large amount of any asset is sold off in a very short period. Usually it tanks the price of that asset. And everyone right now is trying to figure out, there's a ton of videos and articles about what's going to happen when this gets released. The truth is, no one actually knows. What we do know is that it's in play. We do know it is a possibility that when this Bitcoin does get released to the market, we may see a huge sell-off, causing the price of Bitcoin and the crypto market to tank. But whether this happens or not, my investment strategy is not changing. It remains the same. I'm focusing on my income, and I am continuing to invest in crypto dollar cost average. I am not over leveraging myself, putting money into the market that I need in the short term. So nothing really changes for me, but I still have to be cautious and realistic. With everything going on right now in the economy, and then with everything going on within the crypto space, including this Mt. Gox event, and also all of these companies that we are finding out becoming insolvent due to lending money to Three Arrows Capital, it is a time to remain cautious. Does it mean that I am running away from the market? Of course not. I'm still paying attention. I'm still learning every single day, and I'm continuing with my conservative dollar cost average. But I want to know what you guys are doing. Will Bitcoin go lower from here? Are you investing? Are you watching, sitting on the sidelines, or are you exiting altogether? Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.